Welcome to the Disney Wedding Podcast. This show is brought to you by Carrie Hayward's Fairy Tale Weddings Guide, the only guidebook and bridal organizer tailored exclusively to Disney's fairy tale weddings at Walt Disney World. I'm Carrie Hayward, and each week I feature Disney wedding updates, money-saving tips, and interviews with wedding vendors and real Disney couples. I also cover honeymoons, anniversaries, and engagements at the Disney parks and resorts. Join me now as the Disney Wedding Podcast celebrates romance at Disney destinations. Today on the Disney Wedding Podcast, I am speaking with Madelyn and Elias about their wedding at the Wedding Pavilion with a reception at the Crystal Ballroom on the lake in Altamonte Springs. I thought you guys would be interested to hear how they chose these locations and how they planned everything and how it all turned out. So welcome, Madelyn and Elias.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you for having us.
Yes.
Thanks so much for being on the show today. I always like to start at the very beginning and find out how you guys decided that you wanted to have your ceremony at Walt Disney World and a reception off-site.
We've always wanted to get married at Disney. It's something that we've been planning for many years. In terms of the reception, we looked at the ballrooms that are on Disney property, and it's just not what we envisioned. Although they were nice, they just need a lot of decoration, so we just decided to go to the Crystal Ballroom because it was more of our theme.
Oh, that's interesting. You had a theme to your wedding?
Yes. It was Cinderella.
That's great. So how did your friends and family react when they found out where the wedding was going to be?
Everyone pretty much expected us to have a Disney wedding because we're there like every week, and it's something that me and him both love and enjoy, so they were all excited and happy when they found out that it was actually all coming true.
That's wonderful. How many guests did you invite and how many were able to be there?
We invited about 50 and we had about 40 guests come. Some weren't able to come due to us having to postpone our wedding a month before the original date.
Oh my gosh. Did that change anything about your locations?
No, thankfully.
Oh, that's good. Did you set up a room block for your guests?
No, we didn't do that as most of our guests were local and the ones out of state were all getting like Airbnbs and stuff.
Got it. Okay. Now, how did you guys choose the day of the week and time of day for your ceremony?
For the day of the week, we just picked out days that we like. So Madelyn and I like the numbers 2, 4, and 24. So we try to pick days of the week. Like we wanted a weekday, so we try to find those certain days in April and February to try to see what can work out. And April 4th was our original wedding date from that we originally wanted. So the fact that we got April 4th and the fact that it was on a weekday, it seemed that like it was meant to be.
That's wonderful. And how did you choose the time of day?
We went with the 12 o'clock one. We just didn't want it to be too hot and we didn't want the ceremony to be too late. So we tried to pick the sweet spot. We didn't want anything too early either. So we thought 12 o'clock was just perfect. And the crazy thing is also a few days leading up to the wedding, we were looking at the weather and there was supposed to be a hurricane coming actually that day. And thankfully it didn't come, but we were very worried and we kept checking like almanacs just to see if it was even supposed to rain on that day. So thankfully it didn't. And the weather was perfect. It was warm, but it wasn't hot. Everyone was comfortable with it, and it was just all around a perfect day.
Fantastic. Now, how did you guys choose the wedding pavilion for your ceremony?
We love the wedding pavilion so much with the castle in the background, as Magic Kingdom is our favorite place. And we loved how you could see it, but not being inside the park, as it was like more intimate and more like secluded from everyone.
Yeah.
So that's why we picked it.
Got it. And how did you choose your officiant for the ceremony?
We have seen and heard great things about Catherine, who was our officiant. And she also reminded us of a real fairy godmother. Like, just something about her. Like, she had that motherly vibe to her. And she just seemed perfect to be at our wedding. Like, just even when we spoke to her on the phone, like, it filled us with a lot of happiness. So we knew we made the right choice with Catherine. She was amazing.
That's so great to hear. Now, when you were deciding on a reception venue off property, how did you choose the Crystal Ballroom on the lake?
We actually got invited to go to like an open house event that they had when we went there the first time. And when we were there, like we just fell in love with it completely. Just the way that it was set up. It looked like a real ballroom and like just a real princess place.
And did you hire a day of coordinator for the reception venue or for someone to do the whole day from Disney to the Crystal Ballroom?
The place where we had the reception, they like actually included a day of coordinator with the package we had booked with them.
Oh, that's great. Okay. Did you use any outside vendors for either your ceremony or your reception?
We only had an outside vendor for the DJ.
His name is DJ BZ. He was amazing. He played music everyone liked, and
Really upbeat.
it was really upbeat, and everyone was dancing. At first, like everyone was shy, but he got the crowd moving, and within like an hour, everyone was having fun dancing, and that's something that I really like to see. I just like people dancing and having fun, and it just makes me have fun. And I'm someone who doesn't like to dance, so for me to go out and dance and stuff, and it was just something that it was one of the moments on our wedding day that I don't think I'll ever forget. It was amazing. He was great, and he was all around like a really nice guy, and we were very glad to have chosen him as our DJ.
Wonderful. Now, what kinds of touches did you add to your ceremony and your reception to incorporate the Cinderella theme?
We had trumpets for our wedding, and then we also had Major Domo.
We added the carriages, right?
Oh, we also had Cinderella's carriage.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And at the reception, we had the fireworks.
We also added little glass slippers on the tables where all the guests sat. So we added like little, like they're plastic ones, but they looked like glass, and we put like candy inside the slippers for every single guest that were on the table. And we just try to incorporate more like Cinderella theme into the reception, even though it was already grand. So it was just like little touches here and there. They had like a little carriage also like on one of the tables.
Centerpieces?
Yeah, like for the centerpieces. Just to give more of that like Cinderella theme that we were going for, and it turned out to be really nice.
That's great. Did you work with a florist for the centerpieces or for your bouquet?
Our centerpieces were actually provided by the Crystal Ballroom, so we didn't have to worry about any of that.
The other thing that I really liked was you guys coordinated your outfits. And Elias, you had a unique, like a prince suit. Can you talk about how you found that?
I would love to. For a while, I mean, I already knew that we already had that theme. So trying to find a suit that kind of gave that Prince Charming kind of royal look, it was kind of hard. And we went to a Men's Warehouse near where we live, and they didn't have exactly what I was looking for until we stopped at the little boutique right by our house, and they had like different suits. Like they had like unique suits, different colored suits, and I was stuck between the one that I wore and another one that was very similar to that one, but it was in a much lighter blue. So I was really torn between which one to choose. I eventually did choose the darker blue one because I liked it better. It looked better. Like the darker blue looked a lot better. Madelyn really liked it. She liked the lighter blue more, but I liked the darker blue. It just stood out more. It stood out more. It was something unique because I personally never have seen a suit like that, and I thought like, oh, I can get that suit, and it would be like an eye catcher. And a lot of the guests that attended our wedding also said like, oh yeah, your suit looks really nice. And I was like, oh, thank you so much. Like it's just a suit that I just really liked, and yeah.
That's great. Well, it's important to feel comfortable and confident on your day.
Yeah.
Now, another great touch for a Cinderella theme, you had the Herald trumpeters, which not a lot of people have seen these. Can you talk a little bit about how were they incorporated into the ceremony? When did they play?
Well, they were actually supposed to play for our entrances, but they didn't do that. So they played it for Major Domo, and then they played it when we were walking out of the ceremony, and then they played it when we were leaving in the carriage.
Got it. Okay. And is it just kind of a fanfare? You don't like request a song, do you?
It was just whatever they played, this fanfare, yeah.
Got it. Okay, interesting. Do you guys have any menu items or cake flavors from your reception that you would recommend?
So the cake that we went with, the baker, she did exactly what we wanted. She had very unique flavors. And the whole thing with Madelyn and I, in terms of picking out flavors for the cake, was that we wanted cake flavors that were unique, that you wouldn't just go and find like at your local grocery store. Like we didn't want no chocolate or vanilla. We wanted some unique flavors. So the flavors that we went with, our top tier that we kept was lavender, flavor. And then the other tiers were pina colada, orange, and lemon raspberry swirl. The lavender and orange were amazing. The one that stuck out to me the most was lavender. Like, you would think a lavender flavored cake would taste weird, but it's quite unique. I thought it was weird because like lavender is like, it's like a flower, but like then again, like vanilla is also like a plant. So I thought about it in the same concept. So the lavender flavored cake was probably the best flavored cake I've ever had. Madelyn and I loved it. Those are cake flavors that we would recommend because they're just so unique and you can't just, buy those at your grocery store. Like, we would highly recommend, especially lavender. It was amazing.
Who designed your cake?
It was by Cake and Bake in Davenport.
And then do you have any menu items from your reception that you would recommend?
We actually went with an Italian.
Yeah, it was like an Italian cuisine. We had chicken parmesan, penne pasta, and
mashed potatoes.
Yeah, mashed potatoes as well. Madelyn really loves chicken parmesan. That's something that her and I decided to go with because she really likes chicken parmesan. That's like her favorite food in the whole world. So we just decided on that. I mean, it's good. I like it.
All of our guests loved
and
it.
all of our guests liked it as well.
That's the important part. Can you give my listeners a timeline of how the wedding day ran?
We woke up around 4 a.m. and got into hair and makeup at 5 a.m. Then we left the house around 10 o'clock, got there at Disney at 10:30 to start taking pictures. And then our ceremony was at 12 p.m. And then we took pictures with family afterwards. And then we had left Disney property around 3 p.m. to get to our reception around 3:30, 4 o'clock, while our guests were in cocktail hour around 4 o'clock. Our reception was at 5 p.m. and then it ended at 10 p.m.
And did you provide any kind of transportation or was everybody local so they just drove themselves?
Everyone's local, so they all drove themselves.
Got it. Okay. So when you guys were planning, what were some of the most important aspects of your event where you focused your attention or your budget?
Our ceremony venue, my wedding dress, and then Elias's suit were probably the top 3 important things.
And then were there any aspects that were less important where you saved your money or just your effort?
Wedding invitations, and then the wedding sign, and then the guest seating chart. We actually made those things all ourselves.
Oh, that's great. Okay. So what ended up being each of your favorite memories of the wedding day?
It's the same thing, bro.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing. The best part of the wedding day that I will always remember was just seeing Madelyn coming down the aisle. I remember I just started crying because she looked so beautiful, and like I even turned away and I just didn't want anyone to see me crying because I tried to put on like this tough guy persona, but I mean I couldn't hold it in. Like, she just looked amazing, and that's something that I will be telling our great grandchildren, like, years down the line. Like, that's just something that I will never forget.
And then our first dance.
Yeah, and the first dance too.
We actually did our first dance the first time. It was never practiced or planned. It was just as when we got there.
Yeah, we did it as the song went on. We just literally made it up as we went. And everyone thought that it was choreographed, but it wasn't. We just made it up as we went along.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. What song did you use?
We used
Once Upon a Dream from Sleeping Beauty.
Oh, perfect. Now, did anything go wrong or just not turn out like you expected?
Here's the thing. Is like Disney had a few hiccups when it came down to our ceremony. However, like the process, I mean, we're still in the process of getting it all resolved. I mean, I would say like the Trumpeter, like not playing for Madelyn and I, that's something that, we wanted, but they didn't do it. So we're in the process of getting that resolved. But everything else everything else turned out fine. We were very content with how it ended.
That's great. Was there anything that seemed like a big deal beforehand and then turned out not to be?
We were just nervous about the reception, being on property and seeing if people would even attend it, but it turned out amazing.
Everyone had fun.
Yeah.
And is there anything you would have done differently knowing what you know now?
There really isn't. Overall, we are very happy with how our wedding turned out. Maybe having like a coordinator there be with us the whole day would have helped us out a little bit, but at the end of the day, it was a dream come true. The day was.
Do you have any other tips or advice for future couples, maybe those who are interested in combining a Disney ceremony with an off-site reception, but they're worried that it's going to be too complicated?
I mean, if you find a venue that you love, we definitely recommend it. I mean, it's not for everybody. Some people prefer to just have everything in one spot. Just make sure that your guests know in advance because, as I said, some people might not like the idea of going on property, but at the end of the day, as long as the couple's happy, that's all that matters.
I would just make sure that if they do decide to do an off-property reception, I would make sure that just time it out accordingly just so that things aren't too early or too late for the guests.
That's a great tip. Well, Madelyn and Elias, I think you've offered a lot of great tips for anyone who's interested in getting married at Walt Disney World, and I appreciate your taking the time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That's our show for today. I'm your host, Carrie Hayward, inviting you to join me again next week for another episode of the Disney Wedding Podcast. Past shows and tons of photos for each episode are available on my website, DisneyWeddingPodcast.com, or listen in your favorite podcast app. And for instant answers to all your Walt Disney World wedding questions, check out Carrie Hayward's Fairy Tale Weddings Guide, available as an interactive ebook with continual free updates at fairytaleweddingsguide.com.